Yes, people, what is happening? We are back for another episode of Let the Punk Talk, the first one for a while, and today I am joined by Carl from Boxing Royalty. We're just going to talk about
Hang on, Jack, you've got to stop a minute. I think we should reintroduce this podcast, yeah? So listen, as we all know, this is Let the Punk Talk, I'm Boxing Royalty, and we are joined by the new super flyweight Southern Area champion, Jack Hughes. How does that sound, Jack?
It sounds good, mate. It's been a long time coming to hear it.
Looking right it has. But go on, you carry on what you're saying. Sorry, I had to get that in.
Well, I was just going to say we're just here to talk about my epic showdown with Paul Roberts, and I was going to literally hand it over to you.
Well, when did that happen? That didn't happen, did it? You and Paul Roberts? Mate, honestly, I've said it so many times. The best night of my life in terms of sporting moments. Like, it was just everything went right. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you got there, you was confident, you was doing your usual, you was saying hello to people. And then even like when you was in the changing room, you know, I come in and see you and you was just so calm, and all your team, you know, they were all just ready to go. And then I see Paul about 20 minutes before the fight, and, you know, I did my usual, went up to him, kind of bit my tongue and said, good luck, mate. Yeah, don't get knocked out too quick, walked off. But listen, let's go back to start. Obviously, we've got Paul on this weekend, so I don't want to talk too much about it, but let's go back to, what was it? It must have been December, January that the fight was announced. No, wait, what am I talking about? That's March. This fight we're talking about. So when was this second rematch announced?
Not long after, I think, the first fight happened. I mean, it was literally about a week or two. I think Steve called me after the fight, spoke about what we wanted to do, spoke about how they wanted the rematch. They wanted it in Somerset, yeah. But obviously things didn't really work out that way and ended up down in York again. So I think it couldn't have been more than like 3 weeks or a month after the first fight that it got announced.
And obviously, I know the answer, but the people that don't, did you, as soon as you'd recovered from obviously that first fight, was it a case for you of telling Kieran or Goodwin, I want the rematch, I want to fight Paul Roberts?
Yeah, I don't really think it was ever in doubt. Like, I think everyone knew. I think, you know, I knew it was going to happen. Kieran knew, Steve knew, Paul knew, his team knew. I think it was really the only thing that everyone wanted. I don't really think Paul wanted to go and fight a journeyman, and I didn't really want to go fight a journeyman. So it was kind of just a no-brainer, really, wasn't it?
I think it was always going to, obviously, with it being a draw, usually draws for title fights, there always is a rematch. But so let's go into the start of camp. Obviously, we're now going back, 10 weeks, 9 weeks. There was a lot of people on social media talking about how you're not in the gym yet, and you're still doing this and you're still doing that. But what people don't know, this is Jack Hughes. Yeah, you will always drink monsters. You start your camp 9 weeks out. So let's go back to the start. Was it a case of, right, bang, let's go, it's 8 weeks, I'm ready to go? Or did you have to slowly get into it?
Yeah, it was pretty much 8 weeks and it was just all systems go from there. Like, I would have liked to have been in the gym earlier, but at the end of the day, I don't have the luxury of being a full-time boxer. Like, I work, and my job is quite taxing. Like, I'm a binman. I'm on my feet all day, shoveling heavy bags of rubbish into the back of a van and walking like 20 miles, sometimes running 20 miles, you know, to keep up with the van. And then I come home, and then my gym's 2 hours away. You know, I don't have a luxury of having a gym on my doorstep, and I don't have a luxury of being a full-time boxer. So, you know, I couldn't get down the gym earlier than 8 weeks because a lot of the time after work I was just absolutely exhausted. So then, so it was just from 8 weeks. It was just all systems go, training, dieting, working hard.
I mean, to be fair, you did go down to State of Mind a few times before the 8 weeks started. It's not as if, you know, you just went, fuck it, from 8 weeks Saturday we're going. So I think, you know, and how did you feel at the start of camp? Obviously, you're heavy, not heavy, but you're heavier than the fight weight, obviously. What was it when you had that first chat with Kieran? Was it ever just, right, let's do this, or was you just confident straight away that do what you need to do and you get the win?
Yeah, like, I mean, there was a lot obviously change, and I think everyone could see that in my performance. Like the first fight, I just kind of rushed it and thought, yeah, I'll just rush into him and I'll just outwork him, and that obviously didn't happen. And then, you know, Kieran watched the fight hundreds and hundreds of times, and as I've sung Kieran's praises a million times in the past, and I'm sure I'll sing it a million times in the future, Kieran knows boxing better than 9 out of 10 people out there, and he studied the fight over and over and over again and come up with the perfect game plan, which in the end got me this belt here on my shoulder. And you know, I just left it all down to Kieran. You know, I've said it before in interviews, like you yourself, like you don't need to watch a fight over and over again. I just don't really believe, I don't believe in it. I kind of just leave that down to Kieran, and Kieran will tell me what I need to do, and then when what Kieran says goes, and I'll work on whatever Kieran tells me to work on, and that's just what I did. I just listened to what Kieran had to tell me, and he implemented the game plan, and it was down to me to you know, make the game plan become a reality on the night.
Mate, I will say, obviously, look, I knew how good Kieran was before this fight, and I think, well, I told you plenty of times during the camp, he was a different animal in this camp. You could see it, you know, and I know it's a common word to say, but there was no cross cut. Do you know what I mean? Every time, even on the pads, you know, when you were doing the pads and he was just, that left hand, he kept saying to you, you know what I mean? Every time, even when it went dropping, Jack, the left hand, don't drop, because that's what he kept saying. You remember the first fight you cut the first, and you could just see. And I've got so much respect for him, as well as all your other corners. I actually messaged Kieran on the Sunday and just said, mate, as well as Jack, this is you as well. I said, and the props to you, you know. And Kieran actually said to me, you know, I think it was the day we went for the check weigh, he said to me, this is the best Jack's ever looked. You know, he's fit, he's strong, he's ready to go. And he did say, you know, the first fight, you might have been on a bit of a hangover from what happened with Comey, obviously beating a guy that you really shouldn't have beaten. And it was then that I knew you'd win on Saturday. Because, you know, that Comey fight had gone, you had the draw, and in my mind, no disrespect to Paul, you are a better boxer than Paul. So I always thought you boxed to what I've seen you in the gym. I don't know how many 10 times I've been down there. You was always going to do, you know, you were snappier, you was quicker, you was faster. The strength that you showed, you know, and you showed that if people have watched the fight, Paul caught you with a fucking massive shot. I think it was round 7. And I didn't even see it on the night because it didn't even rock you. You didn't even move. Do you know what I mean? And that's, again, a testament to Kieran and how he's worked you with all the strength and conditioning and stuff, that you've held that shot so well and then fucking come back at him about 20 seconds later and knocks him back. So, mate, again, as I've always said, the biggest respect to both you, Kieran, and Tony. What are the other two guys' names?
Ian and Ricardo.
Yeah, Ricardo, you need to get your shirt on a bit earlier, though, in the changing room, mate. I don't want to have to tell you off again. So, mate, I remember coming down to Pug 6 weeks out, it might have been 5, and I remember seeing you spar Razor Ali. And you hit Razor with one of the cleanest shots. And of course, he's heavy. It's not going to do nothing to him. But how did you feel so far out? Because, mate, you looked incredible.
No, I felt good, mate, because I was training really hard, and I was doing everything possible that I could to be in the best shape I possibly could, you know. So I felt really, really good. Like everything was going according to plan. Like the camp really couldn't have gone better. I mean, Kieran said it so many times. This is the best camp of your life. This is the best camp, the best shape you ever be in. So on and so forth, and it was, mate. And I just felt great throughout the whole camp. There was like one little hiccup like 2 weeks out, but that was just more probably just frustration and wanting to get in there, wanting to eat and so on. I'm sure no boxing camp goes 100% according to, you know, how everyone would like it to go. There's always going to be one little bump in the road, and that was just a little bump in the road, and it was nothing major, you know. And yeah, I just felt great throughout the whole camp, man.
Mate, you look brilliant. You know, there was obviously a stage, we can talk about these things now, you know, a few weeks out, where Kieran has said, you know, there's no social media now, like posting stuff. And obviously, thank you to Terry. She was sending me videos of like the spars and stuff. And I just wanted to smack it on social media, tag Paul, and be like, this boy is fucked. Because, like I said, I'd been down there with you for, I think the first time I come down was for the Paul's first fight. And I always said to you, you looked good. But you trained for this fight like there was a different purpose. like you knew that you're.
Oh, I think we've lost him.
I don't know what happened there.
Oh yeah, you're back. Yeah, I lost you there.
So my question was, I don't know if you got it, was
trained like a different person. That was what
trained
I
like a different person, but did you feel like if you lost this fight to Paul Roberts, that was it, your career was done?
Oh yeah, mate. If I had lost it, it was 100% over. I mean, I say 100% over. It would have just been a very, very long and tedious road back. You know, I would have had to go back down to like doing 6 and 8 rounders. I would have had to fight God knows how many of them before I could even get back into title contention. It probably would have been like another year or two. I would have been looking at doing that before I could start pushing for the southern area again, and so on and so forth. And you know, I've had 4 title fights now. I've had 3 10-rounders. And you know, I've fought good prospects. I don't want to be going back to fighting journeyman with losing records. My last 3 fights have all been against people with either 50-50 or winning records, you know, and that's the kind of thing I just want to keep, you know, building towards, and just, you know, the only way is up. I don't want to be going back down, you know.
No, of course. And if you're in my eyes, the Paul Roberts fight, I mean, a lot of people say it's 50-50. I always argued the point that if you wasn't cut like you was in that first fight, you would have won that fight because you would have been able to box like you did in the second. But then we talk about the hangover from whatever. So the one thing I just remembered about that belt, you said about when you'd fought for it 4 times. Jack, something makes that belt very special, and that's because there's a certain, as Jack Newman would say, shrimp's name on the belt. Whose is it?
Ricky Little's.
Yeah, Ricky, if you're watching this, mate, you give that up, boy. So anyway, mate, we go now. We've gone from 6 weeks, we're 2 weeks out, and for those of you that watch these podcasts, you'll know that Jack was a right prick to me when we first met. And he texted me, I think it was not last Wednesday, the Wednesday before fight week. And we were speaking before he sparred, and then all of a sudden I get a message come through. It says, "Fight's off, mate." And I thought, what the fuck? I've got like 7, 8 people coming to this. We've pushed this fight for so long. Sends me a video. Jack, take it away. What happened in that spar, mate?
You know what? It's kind of funny. You just saying that actually just brought like, kind of memories back. It's kind of like a whole deja vu kind of scenario, because when I was actually getting ready for the Ricky Little fight, I only sparred like twice, I think, in the whole camp, because there were certain reasons. Because I had to get my brain scan done. You can't spar 2 weeks before a brain scan, and I got my brain scan done, and then I sparred, and then I think in the second spar I ended up cutting my eye open, and then I couldn't spar for the rest of the camp. Obviously, it wasn't as bad as that this time around, but in my second last spar, I ended up. It weren't a cut, but I had grazed my eye really bad, and it had swelled up, and we had to cut the spar short. I think it was like I only did 6 rounds, but I actually only ever sparred 8 rounds once in this camp for the Paul Roberts fight. I think I did like 3 or 4 6-rounders, 1 8-rounder, and then that was it. And I cut my eye in the next spar, and then so there was no more sparring. But there was only going to be one more spar anyway. But I never did 10 rounds this whole camp. I never did 10 rounds actually the last camp either. So it was kind of a bit of like a deja vu scenario going back to the Ricky Little fight camp.
Do you think on that Ricky Little fight, just quickly, do you think if you had Kieran in your corner for that fight, you'd have beat him?
110%. I mean, I've spoke about him a million times before, but I trained myself for the Ricky Little fight, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't know how to get myself into shape. I've matured a lot since then, which I'm sure Ricky probably has himself. But
he's retired.
Yeah, but you know, like Kieran, I mean, everyone can see the difference between when I was with Kieran and when I was without Kieran, and I just can't see Ricky Little standing a chance now.
No, I think I've been around a lot of gyms, you know, and I can hand on heart say, you know, there's a lot of fighters that care, you know, and three that always stick out to mind me that genuinely care and want the best for their fighters are Kieran, Andy, who's with Jamie, and Will Jones. You know, they genuinely do care. They won't match their fighters in fights they won't win. And they've all got their flaws, you know. But I've also been in some gyms where I've seen trainers, and I'm like, Jesus, like, what are you doing? Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, and I'm not going to mention names, but there's one he's got someone fighting at a weight where it's like, to have a word with your boy, mate, and get him down. Do you know what I mean? But that's not to talk about. This one's all about you. So, mate, we move on to the fight. So obviously, in my opinion, I think, all right, from what I can remember, I was a nervous wreck. I had you 5-1 up after 6 rounds. And then I think I give Paul the 7th. And then I think I give you every other round. Definitely the 10th. I think the 9th was a bit, I could have given to Paul. So I've said 7-3, but I could argue 8-2 as well. And look, Paul was brilliant, mate. He didn't stop moving forward. But Jack, the one thing, and obviously we've spoke about this, and everyone who's asked me about this, that changed that fight was your feinting. It wasn't even the throwing of the shot. You was feinting with the right hand, which was me making him swing with a big right. And as soon as he did, you was coming across, bang, jab, body. And, mate, it worked every time. So how, when you was in there, let's go to the halfway point. So at 5 rounds, you're not cut yet. How are you feeling in that corner?
I mean, I literally what you just said is how I had the first 5-6 rounds. I had it 5-1 to myself, and I think so did my corner team. You know, the first 4 rounds when I come back, Kieran was like, "It's 4-0," and he looked at Tony and he said, "Tony, how have you got it?" And Tony said the same thing. He was like, "Yeah, I've got it 4-0." And then when I had the 5th round and come back, or was it? Oh, it might. Sorry, I think it was the other way around. 3-0 and then 4th round. I can't really remember, but it was one of the. It was either the 4th or 5th. I come back, and they said, "Yeah, that round was close. So I could probably have give that to Paul." Then I come back out the next round and won the next round, and yeah, and that's how I had it. And I felt the fight started to go in his favor when I got cut again, which again was a whole deja vu scenario from the first fight. I felt that's when it started to swing in his favor. And then I felt going into the 10th, I was up, definitely up. But, you know, when I was in the corner, Kieran and Tony said, "I need you to produce the best round of your life," you know, just to make sure everything was set in stone. And that's what I did, mate.
I mean, at that point, what's that? After I've given Paul the 9th, I've given Paul 3 rounds. So if you think after 8 rounds, I've got you 5-3, they are right in what they're saying. But after 9 rounds, so I've got you 5-6-3. The judge, the ref, that Dick Kieran McCann could have it 5-4. So they're right. And mate, how? In fact, we're waiting to talk about the last round. I want to talk about the cut. So obviously, in the first fight, there was a clash of heads. And thankfully, in the first fight, the cut was a lot worse. That cut is nastier, and it's a lot fucking worse in terms of a cut. But in terms of the pain, the obstruction it caused you in the fight, what happened? So was it just the same thing? You went in, he come in, and it was straight away, bang on your eye.
Yeah, I think he had obviously thrown a right hand or something and like fell in, and I had moved in at the same time, and he obviously clashed the side of my head. And felt it straight away, man. I just felt blood leaking into my eye, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "Here we go again!" And literally, it would just piss straight away with blood. Like literally, instantly, I was dabbing my eye. Like my eye did that weird blurry white color that it does when blood gets in your eye, and I was just like, "Oh my god, here we go again!" And yeah, mate, it was just. I felt like it was a lot worse. I don't know. It probably didn't look as bad, but the blood was just instant straight down streaming down my face, and I was just, yeah, as I said, it was just like, here we go again.
I mean, I see it. Well, I didn't see it. As I said, I was mate, I had my shirt over my head after the fight. I was so hot. That venue was baking.
It was hot,
but
yeah.
Ben and Ryan both turned around to me and said, "He's cut again." And I was like, "Yeah, you're winding me up. Like, he ain't cut again." And then obviously same thing, you go back to the corner and I see Kieran stand on the edge and I see Tony jump in, and that's when you know shit goes down. So obviously you sit down in that corner, you know it's bad this time. What's running through your head? What's Kieran telling you?
Well, so obviously I sat down and I was speaking. Tony obviously jumped straight in the ring and he was, straight in with the whatever it is, the cotton bud. And I was like, Tony, be honest to me, mate, is it bad? And he was just like, no, mate, don't worry, it's not bad. But obviously, after the fight, now I know it was really bad, and he lied to me. It was bad, but he obviously wanted me to keep my cool and just go out and just keep doing what I was doing at the time. And so obviously in my head, Tony told me it was good, so in my head I was thinking, yes, it's not bad. I've just got to deal with it, and obviously I was dealing with it as good as I could. And well, obviously people know now because I made it public. But in the eighth round, when I come out again, Paul had thrown an uppercut, and I had leant into it, and it hit me on the other side of my face, on the right side, and my whole eye went black, and it was like half my vision was black, and then the other half was blurred, and I couldn't. And I had half blind in one eye with blurry vision, and then blood going into my other eye, and probably no one noticed because I've got a real good poker face, but that was the first time in my career where I really went into panic mode, and I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Because I went blind in my eye. I didn't know what was going on, and I had to obviously keep cool, and I had to fight like that for pretty much 3 rounds. And I just remember going back to the corner at the 8th round, and my heart was kind of pounding because I was nervous about my vision. And I said to Tony, I said, Tony, I don't know what's happened, but I can't see out my right eye. And in a kind of panic, because he was dealing with the cut, he thought I was talking about my left eye, which was cut. And he was like, what's wrong with it? And I was like, do you know when you've got blood in your eye, it feels like I've got blood in my eye? And he said, oh, don't worry, it's just where the blood's run into it. So that put my mind at rest, thinking, oh, well, if Tony said not to worry about it, I don't need to worry about it. But lo and behold, he was talking about my other eye, which was cut. So maybe it was something to worry about. But yeah, so I just carried on fighting for round 9 and 10, pretty much blind. But yeah.
Mate, let's just go to that 10th round. As you said, Tony and Kieran both told you to go for it. You couldn't see. Mate, you come out when that bell went and hit him. He swung and you dipped and come up with one of the biggest shots I think I've ever seen you throw. And I thought, and I think it was, I don't even know who it was. I think it was even your mum. I just grabbed her and was like, he's hurt. He's fucking hurt. Like, jump on him. And now I realise why you couldn't jump on him, because he genuinely, you hit him to the body and come over the top. And he was like, he just went back, and his arms, like when they lift. And I thought, one more shot and he's gone. He's down. And then I haven't watched it back. I'm going, I was just beautiful shot. I just kept screaming, beautiful shot. And then I'm going, what's he doing? Why ain't he jumping on him? And then I thought, well, in my mind, you're up. But how much did that last round take out of you?
It's just so funny you say it, because I remember getting up in the 10th round, just before the round started, and I remember feeling good. I remember just in my head, I was like, I'm not even tired. I feel like I can keep going. And then obviously I put everything into the last round, and then I just remember probably about halfway through the round, I was just like, where the fuck is this bell? It felt like I was in there for an eternity, and the round just felt like it was just kept going and going and going. And yeah, when you say about Paul, obviously I remember it clearly. I hit him with 3 absolute pingers of shots. It was like a right hand followed by a left hook, then followed by another right hand. And in the moment, it's weird, because in the moment he didn't seem phased by it. like he's obviously got one, he's got a good chin. Two, he's obviously got a good poker face. And three, he kept coming forward every time I hit him. So at the time, I didn't even notice that he was hurt. It was only when I watched it back, I noticed he was hurt. And I see, but again, you're obviously watching it from a different angle. I was watching it from higher. And when I hit him, I saw his legs like go jelly and you could see he was hurt. But at the time, obviously, when you're focusing, you're only focusing on the top half of him. And when I hit him, I didn't notice any of that. And I was obviously looking into his eyes, and his eyes told me he was fine, but obviously his legs told a different story. But yeah, so that's the reason why I didn't jump on him. But I mean, all's well that ends well. I won the round and I won the fight anyway.
100%. And before we go on to the decision and what it meant, I just want to talk about Paul, because obviously it's well documented on here. Obviously, you're my boy. You're fighting Paul. I'm not going to support Paul. You know, the amount of times Kieran in the gym was like, "Oh, Paul's a lovely guy." I was like, "Kieran, fuck Paul. Like, fuck Paul for just 8 weeks." Do you know what I mean? But to be fair to Paul, he come up to me after the fight. Obviously, you were getting stitched up and whatnot, and he come up to me. He literally just put his arms around, give me a cuddle, and I just said, "Mate, you're a fucking warrior." I said, every single person wrote him off from the moment the first fight was announced because of his record. I said, and then he did what he did. I thought you did enough, but you can't argue a draw. And then the second fight, I was doubting it. You know, I acted this confident man, but Paul come in tremendous shape. He looked fucking good at the weigh-in. And you have them little things when you're so like I am to you so close. It was kind of like fucking hell. Paul's got a six pack. Paul's been in Marbella training with Liam Williams and people and Josh Kelly and people, and it's like, fuck, what have they said to him? Do you know what I mean? And I just said to him, Matt, I give you the utmost respect. I said, you didn't chat no shit. You didn't give Jack no grief. And I'm looking forward to speaking to him more on Sunday night, because I genuinely really do hope that man gets a shot at that title when you do move on. I really do. And I really hope he wins it. Honestly, I do.
Yeah, no, exactly the same, mate. I've got the utmost respect for Paul and his team. Like, there's just a different level of respect you can have for someone when you spend 20 rounds with them and you have two absolute cracking fights like we have. You just have that different level of respect, you know, as a man for him. And yeah, and like he was just respectful the whole way through. He never said one bad word about me. I never said one bad word about him. But the thing is, man, we're in boxing. Obviously sometimes it's always tasty for the fans when you know, you have the whole beef side to it. But how many times you get the beef side to it and the fight just does not live up to expectation, you know? And me and Paul, there was no beef both fights. We just let the fighting do the talking, and we stole the show twice on two separate occasions. And even the same could be said for Ricky Little as well. The first fight, there was no bad mouthing. And again, me and Ricky Little stole the show again. And then Ricky Little started bad mouthing me. And then he didn't even turn up to the fight. So it just goes to show that the bad mouthing may be good for the fans, but when push comes to shove and he wanted to talk shit, he didn't even turn up. So, you know, what good was the bad mouthing? And at the end of the day, you know, just put up or shut up, as they say.
That's what Little is, nothing but a bitch, mate. And I really hope he comes back and Paul Roberts lays him out.
Yeah.
Honestly. Or Jordan Perkis, mate. I hope Jordan Perkis fights Ricky Little and lays him out, because honestly, I won't make sure you fought Ricky Little, obviously. But what a twat. That's all I'm going to say. And I don't care now. Look, you've done this belt yet. So all these people, and this is what I want to talk about now, or in a minute, actually. First, I want to talk about, actually, stay on it, the doubters, mate. All these people, and I had people messaging me on Instagram. Team Roberts, fuck Jack. Jack's had too many chances now. He ain't going to do it. I said all along that you were going to do it. And what have you now got to say to all these little melts that are on fucking Instagram in their mum's bedroom on the Wi-Fi? What you got to say?
Well, just what can they say now, mate? You know, yeah, mate. I've just said I've had this kind of stuff like my whole life, like with anything. Like I've always been doubted. Like I remember, but back in like the real early days in school when I was really young, I used to be one of the slowest. I was like one of the slowest runners in my class, and you know that I was always made fun of, that I was always slow. And then when I hit fucking like 14 or something, I ended up running 100 meters in 12 seconds. So, and it always kind of just progressed from there. Whatever I was told I couldn't do, I always went out and did it. You know, and I got the nickname from my mum. She used to call me a dreamer, which is why I've got dreamer tattooed on my neck there. And that's what it always starts off as a dream, and everyone will always doubt it, but at the end of the day, everything I ever put my mind to, I achieved it, and not only achieved it, I done more than that was ever expected of me. And you know, so you can keep doubting me, but I'll just keep proving you wrong. And at the end of the day, I was always told I was never going to do anything in boxing, but I've accomplished more than anyone ever gave me credit for.
Fuck these people, that's what I say. No, mate, look, like I said to you when we went afterwards, well, the guys will say it. As soon as I announce your name, I come running down. And I mean this, you know this. I said it earlier, I've never been prouder of anyone, of any friend in my life. You know, I see what you went through in that camp. I see everything. And, you know, you spoke the other day about tickets and stuff like that. And it's not for me to say about, you know, but you could get more support from people closer to you. And then people that always said that you weren't going to do nothing, mate, can seriously fuck off. Because they're either now going to want to be your friend or they're going to be hating on you.
Yeah.
And all I have to say to them, is the people that were there are the people that care. Someone said that to me. The people that are there are the people that care, yeah? And I bet you've had people messaging you that weren't at the fight and said they were going to buy a ticket and have said congratulations.
Oh, yeah.
Come off of this podcast and text them back. I bet you said, oh, thank you, mate, means a lot. Text them back and say, do you know what? Fuck you. You missed the opportunity. You should have been there to see me. And, mate, everyone's going to get doubted. I get doubted with boxing. All my friends, when I see them, oh, you know, you ain't going to keep this up, this, that, and the other. But, mate, this is another level of things. And as I say, the people that care, you know what it meant. And you see by the tears, mate, I've never seen so many men crying. You know what I mean? Like, even Duffy, who shows no emotion, obviously I come running down as soon as they announced the punk. I didn't even hear kid. That's how quick I was. And I went up to Duffy and I went to cut and he just fucking grabbed me and lifted me. And do you know what I mean? And even Tony, I walked back to the change room with Tony. I said, Tony, how bad was the cut? He's like, fucking look at my shirt. Do you know what I mean? And you could genuinely see the joy in the team. And I stood in that changing room and I looked round for a minute and I thought, these people here really did want that for you. You know, you see trainers go into rings with fighters and you think, no, they don't. But you could see how much Kieran, all of them, you know, you see him in the gym. You walked into the checkway, they all stood up. Here's the champ. You know, so look, from myself and everyone associated with you, mate, just fucking well done. We're all proud of you. And, you know, you could stop now. You know that. You could ring Steve Goodwin tomorrow and say, I'm done with boxing. But there's bigger and better things out there for you. So let's just fucking keep this train rolling.
Yeah, it's like you said, mate. Again, when I first started in boxing, again, like I was told, me being the way I am, I'll never be able to build a following. And obviously, at that time when they were saying that to me, I was struggling to sell like 20, 30 tickets. And you know, when people say things like, you can brush it off as much as you can, but sometimes it does stick in your head and you do dwell on these things like, can I really build a following like being the way I am? But I always just wanted to be me. I never wanted to be fake. So I always stuck to being me. And funny enough, driving home from Scotland today in the car, Terry said to me, it's funny because you haven't built a following. You've built a family that's continuing to grow. And what you said, like how much it meant to everyone, it shows it's not a following, it is a growing family.
But it is like everyone that was there, you know. So I got there at like 2:00 to meet Justin, and I met in the pub opposite with the boys from my work. But then John Badham joined, yeah. And obviously I've never really met John. I met him at your last fight. John sat there and had a beer with us. and it was like we'd known each other for years.
Hmm.
And that the only mutual connection between all of us was yourself. Yeah. And then all along that top, you know, you had J&P sat in with all that. None of them had met J&P before or have on. Didn't matter. We was all there for one reason. We was all stood behind that punk kid flag, and Terry's got that bang on. You ain't got fans. You have got fans, but the group of people are your family, you know. And I think that includes what we're going to now, your sponsors, mate. You know, they're all there. They're all supporting. You know, they all sell tickets. So, how much did the sponsors help this fight?
Oh, mate, without them, the fight wouldn't have happened, because this time of the year is probably one of the hardest times of the year to sell tickets, because of, you know, the weather's beautiful. Everyone wants to go. Like, everyone, this is the time the kids are off school. Everyone goes on holiday, and like so on and so forth. I mean, even though I sold enough tickets, it was a lot less than my last two fights, and so sponsors coming in obviously helped a great deal. You know, Forrester and Son with Rod and Justin, and my friend Steve and Guy. Obviously, Guy is not, I don't want to say the most important, because that's the wrong word. They're all equally as important as the next one, but he funds me the money. He basically pays my wages for 2 months, so I can take time off work and dedicate full on to training. So, you know, that he basically gives me the opportunity to live life as a full-time boxer. So yeah, without them 4 sponsors, I might not be sitting here with this belt around my shoulders, you know.
I will actually say, obviously, I know Rod very well. I don't know Steve, but obviously Justin I met for the first time. But that guy I met in the bar afterwards, and he actually waited around. Obviously, mate, you was gone for fucking ever. Do you know what I mean? Like, you so many stitches, and then you had to get checked. And obviously, I remember he said to you, "It's just come to me when you had the stitches. You got ready to go out." And he turned around to Terry and was like, "No, he has to stay in here for 20 minutes. So he can't go upstairs." And I was like, "Bro, it's like 4 steps. Like, that's all it is. Like, you can get up 4 steps quick." He's like, "No, he just has to stay on the ground level." So that waiting around must have just been bloody awful. But yeah, someone else as well that has done a lot for you this camp was Terry. Just how much do you, well, I don't know what word to use. How much do you appreciate what she does for you?
Yeah, well, mate, I go on about the sponsors, obviously, but without her, mate, it wouldn't be possible either. You know, she's the one that I come home and let all my frustrations out. She's the one that's got to deal with me when I'm being an asshole, and she's the one that makes sure all my meals are prepped, and she's basically like my full-time nutritionist that lives at home with me, and she cooks all my meals, makes sure everything's ready for me. She makes sure I've got water, you know, to drink. If I've had a hard day and I come home and I've got my feet up and I need a monster, she's the one that goes downstairs and gets it for me. You know, she's you know, she's not my girlfriend. She's my best friend as well.
Oh, no, yeah, I agree. The amount of times I spoke to Terry during camp, she's like, this geezer's gonna have a black eye in a minute. And then, like, you've texted me like, I'm upstairs, we've had an argument. Like, just sort it out. But mate, honestly, like I said, Terry knows, you know, I love you both, and it just, like you say, you couldn't do it without them. You know, she does all your food. You know, the sponsors backing you through getting through work, and then the other ones that bring the tickets. And then, you know, like you say about Justin, he come down from Leeds for the day and spent 200 quid in a hotel, and Rob brings the 10 people with him, and Steve couldn't even be there and sponsored you for what he could. So just, they're part of the family as well. Do you know what I mean? It's nothing more than a family, as you said. But listen, I don't want to talk too much more about the fight, because obviously with Paul coming on Sunday, I want to go round for round with you both and talk about, you know, the build up to both fights, which will be a good watch. But obviously earlier on Instagram, I put out a question about, well, if anyone had some questions for you, and there was 3 that come in. So the first one isn't a question, it's from Jay. He said, Jack, I've watched all of your podcasts, mate, and you can see what a genuine character you are. It really made my night when you come in the bar and shook my hand and said hello, and nothing made me happier than seeing you lift that title on Saturday night.
Top man, Jay.
Very nice. And then Tommy Murphy has put, Jack, have you taken a picture with just the belt on yet? Can you post it?
Do you know what? I've actually kept meaning to do it. Like, obviously, when I won the challenge belt, obviously I went straight home, stripped off, and was like that, and took the photo of it. And I've actually posted a picture of the challenge belt like that every year since. And yeah, so obviously I'll probably do that later tonight and post it up just for Tommy. I'll tag him in it as well.
And then a question from Paul Roberts.
Hey.
Was the 2 fights with me harder than the Ricky Little fight? Wink, boxing glove.
Yes, 100%. For many reasons. Like, I think the first fight, as much as I like to say I didn't, I think I definitely did underestimate him. And I think there was a game plan, but in my head I was just like, oh, I'm just going to rush him, and that will be enough to win the fight. And obviously you saw that's what I did. I just rushed him, and it didn't work out. And then, you know, there was no cuts in the Ricky Little fight, so I had that adversity to overcome twice. Ricky Little never blinded me with a right hand, so I had that to overcome. It was just so much harder, and for many reasons, I think it was just so hard. They're 2 fights. I mean, obviously, I'll never forget the Ricky Little fight either, but they're the 2 fights that I'll never forget. And essentially, like, we both have made each other's career. You know, like, every career needs a great rivalry. And funny, like, obviously I was lucky enough to have Ricky Little and Paul, but the thing with Ricky Little is it kind of only just started getting interesting. And Ricky Little, as much as, you know, he can here go down as a champion and so on, but he's gonna have to live the rest of his life knowing that he backed out of the fight 5 times and never kind of put up or shut up and delivered. Whereas me and Paul can say we had an absolute all-out brawl and got it on again to settle the score, and we stole the show not once but twice and left everyone talking about it. And, you know, it got to the point now where me and Ricky Little had that fight and people spoke about it for years afterwards. It got to the point now with me and Paul where people will probably forget about the Ricky Little fight and they'll just be talking about me and Paul Roberts now.
1,000,000%. I mean, I'm the first to admit it. I massively underestimated Paul. You know, when you come to me and said, oh, I'm fighting Paul Roberts, I was like, fucking hell, this guy's like 3-2 on 2 or whatever he was. Like, you're just going to blow him out. And then even up to this fight, mate, you know, I was sitting there thinking, oh, no, if there was no head clash, Jack would have won convincingly. I still had him winning. And I think it was only up until about 2 weeks before that I actually thought, fuck, this is real. Like, you know, I had a look on Paul's Instagram, done a bit of, what's that thing called when you're not following someone, but you keep looking at their page? Stalking. I was stalking his Instagram. Paul, I was stalking your Instagram. And I was thinking, like, as I never said this to you, I was like, fucking, he can box, this guy. Like, even though it's just pad work and anyone can look good on the pads, I was thinking, like, he's in shape. And then when I see him at the weigh-in, you know, obviously I'm with you. You've done the struggle account. I'm not going to sit there and say to you in the car, fucking hell, Jack, Paul looks good. You know, I've got to say the right things. But even right up until the fight, I was thinking, like, if Jack's not mentally there tonight, he could be in trouble here. You know, I always said that if you boxed to your best ability and you was in 100% mental state, you won that fight, and you did. You know, but listen, we'll speak to Paul again. But like I say, what a warrior, mate, and I really do. He's such a lovely guy, and his trainers as well. Mac, is it Max?
Yeah, Max is a nice guy.
Mate, I think I messaged him on Monday. We spoke, and you know, even he just said you just couldn't wish for a better person for Paul to lose to if he did. You know, so. But you talk about stealing the show. You was probably expected to steal the show in the first fight because you was headlining.
Yeah.
But we go to Saturday night, mate. There were some big fights on that card. You know, there was wars. Jack Owen, Jordan Granham. I haven't seen it, but my mate Luke watched it. Said it was a war. You stole the show, but I want to give a quick mention to Jamie Smith, who obviously boxed an old foe of my friend Mark Little. You obviously come out. So I was planning on going home. You was coming out. Mate, what a stoppage. Brilliant, wasn't it? Did you expect that from Jamie?
Yeah, I did, to be honest, I did. you know, no disrespect to Daniel. I actually commented on Brian's post. Brian is Daniel's trainer today, and said, you know, no matter what happens, Daniel can hold his head high. He's a 2-time Southern Area champion, and that's only, you know, most people could only ever dream of achieving what he's achieved. But having said that, I just knew that I've seen Jamie box loads of times, and I knew that he was just head and shoulders above Daniel. And as I said, that's no disrespect to Daniel. That's just me speaking openly about it. And I did message Jamie a couple of weeks before the fight, and I said, I can see you stopping him within 3 rounds. And obviously that's what happened. He stopped him within 2. But yeah, that is the way I did see it going.
Yeah, mate. I mean, obviously, I'd been down to Jamie, and I remember watching Jamie first spar a southpaw. It was about 5 weeks ago. And Jamie will admit this. He got spun around the ring for a good 6 out of the 10 rounds, you know, and he come out of the spar and he went straight to the toilet, mate. The hand wraps were ripped off, and he come out, he was fully changed, and he just didn't want to do it, you know. And then I went down the Saturday before the fight, and he boxed. I mentioned him, Harvey Dykes, mate, turning over pro. Keep an eye out for this guy. And he was just comfortable, you know. And obviously, I'd seen Mark box Mendes, and they'd said to me, "What can you give my 2 pence?" And I just said, "Look, when you get him in the corner, hold him there, and if you hit him, he'll go," you know. And I've got to give a props again, like we did to Kieran, to Andy Gill. You know, Andy Gill isn't very known in the boxing game. He's an amateur coach. He's just turned over pro with the Fringpongs and Jules and Jamie. And the first time I went down there, they were working on it. Jab, stepping across, big right hand, left hook. And if you watch the stoppage, that is exactly what happened. Jamie caught him a couple of times, come across, left hand, straight round with the right. And listen, respect to Mendes. I mean, look, by paper, he's a 2-time Southern, but he isn't in my mind. No disrespect to him. I think, obviously, we spoke about him, Mark beat him, but that's another story. But yeah, where do you think Jamie goes now? Do you think, obviously, he's coming to the fight Saturday to watch Ian and Luke? Do you think he's capable of beating him too?
I don't know much about Ian, but I've been around Luke quite a bit because Barry and Paddy Fitzpatrick used to have quite a good relationship, and obviously Luke was a Commonwealth champion, and he's been in there with the likes of Coley and Chamberlain. I rate Luke. I think Luke's really good, but I also rate Jamie. I think Jamie's very good, but I think Luke's on the downward spiral in his career, and I think Jamie's on the come up in his career, and I think Jamie's a lot younger, a lot fresher, and I think Jamie hits a hell of a lot harder than Luke does as well. But as I said, I don't even know if I can't really give an honest opinion on the Luke fight because I don't know I've never heard of the fella he's fighting, so I can't really say if he's going to win or not. But I definitely think that Jamie is good enough to beat Luke. But as I said, I can't really comment on the other guy.
Might be wrong, but I think Ian Martell beat Mendes for the Southern Area. I might be completely wrong there. I don't know. Yeah, same as you, mate. With the fight, I've seen Luke box twice. I've seen him box Coley and Chamberlain, and he got knocked out in both. I just think, like you said, he's on the rise, Jamie, and he's only getting better. And he's coming off the back of a nice little boxer tournament. All right, he lost in the semi-final, but financially it done him good things. He's in a supportive job. So listen, I wish Jamie all the best. Still not my favourite English cruiserweight, but Jamie, I do like you, know that, mate. So we'll leave that one there. But talking of Saturday night, one of your gym mates finally has got her shot. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Tyson Gallagher is fighting for the Commonwealth, and I think it's like a WBA international. I think
WBO international, yeah.
WBO international. Yeah, like, I rate Tyson so highly. Sparred her a couple times. I've seen her fight a couple times. Obviously, I'm around her all the time. I've seen a video of, is it Naylor Hughes?
Nina Hughes.
Yeah, I've seen a video of her. To be honest, I wasn't that impressed with her style. I think she's very game, and you know she'll bring the fight to Tyson. She's come forward, and apparently she hits pretty hard. But Tyce's so slick. She's, from what I see, she's 100 times better boxer than her. As long as Tyson stays disciplined and sticks to the game plan, I can't see Tyson losing. And I know a lot of people from the reputation of Hughes will be like, oh, this guy, I don't know what he's talking about. But that's only just because Tyson's unknown in the pro game yet. Tyson was an established amateur. She won quite a bit, and she's a well-respected pro in her own right as well. But just because she's not on the Sky Sports shows doesn't mean she's not better than this woman. And I think Tyce's better than her. And I think the outcome will be a Tyson Gallagher win on the night.
Yeah, mate, I hope you're right. Obviously, myself and Tezza Bells have done all the merch for her. Look, mate, it's a tough fight. Nina Hughes can fight. She's done everything there pretty much is to do as an amateur, bar in the GB and whatnot. ABAs, everything like that. And she can bang. I've seen it. But then it's no good being able to bang if you can't hit the person. And I think Tyson, from what I've seen, we see her down there last Wednesday, mate. She's looking sharp. I spoke to her on the phone today. She's a kilo out. It's nothing. Do you know what I mean? And I hope she does. Tyson, I know Nina's got a family, but obviously where I spent time down in Pug, I've become attached to a lot of people down there. Yourself, Tom, Tony. Tony's one of the nicest guys I've ever met.
Yeah.
And obviously he's in the corner, so we'll be there. Also Razor fighting as well, so I wish him luck. But let's hope that Pug have 3 new belts going in there next weekend. But mate, until Sunday, that's everything for me. Is there anything else for you to say?
That's it, mate. I've already thanked everyone, but thanks to the team, thanks to all my sponsors, Terry, yourself. Without all you guys, it wouldn't be possible.
And the new. We go.
So, I guess we're in it there. Thanks for watching, everyone, and join us next week for another episode of Let the Punk Talk. Peace.